Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lucas Live. Ladies and gentlemen, we're excited that you guys are going to be joining us here any second. If you're watching this by replay, you have no idea that we were supposed to start 15 minutes ago. Exactly 15 minutes ago. Maybe it was on purpose. Maybe you should just assume that we just wanted to delay it a little bit, give you some time, get your dinner together, get your kids together, get your life together, and join us here now. So, again, if you're watching this by replay, you have no idea. It doesn't matter. So, welcome to the broadcast. Welcome to the show. If you're watching this live and you're like, here they are finally, welcome. We things happen. There's technical difficulties. You can't go live every day. Hey, Tina, you can't go live every day and not have some technical difficulties and not have some things go wrong. So some things went wrong, but here we are. A lot of times when things go wrong, they go wrong so other things can go right. It must mean tonight is going to be a special night. I have an amazing guest tonight. My good friend, Mr. Kyle Stone, is running for Stark County Prosecutor. Once upon a time, we were high school students together, and now the man is an attorney and running for county prosecutor. So thank you guys so much for being here. I almost missed it. I see y'all. Appreciate everybody jumping in here. It feels so good to see everybody still coming through in spite of the difficulties. 2020 has been a difficult year. We've been through a lot, and we had to learn how to persevere. So this is just one more test to get us through. So we're going to have a great time tonight. I see everybody. Thank you guys who have shared. If you haven't shared, what are you waiting on? You got to share the broadcast. That's what you do. When you come into Lucas Live, you just got to hit the share. Hit share if you're on Facebook, right? Hit share. Hit right in post or share to post, right? Don't do a watch party. Don't share it anywhere else. Or you can share it to your post, which will put it on your page. And now this show is playing live on your page, right? Like Fresh Prince Martin be on BET and other channels, right? So you got this playing on your channel, on your social media channel. You got a media channel too. So you got us playing live as one of your syndicated shows. Let's just say that, right? So here on Lucas Live, we're excited that you guys are broadcasted and got us on your broadcast. We thank you guys for sharing. It means so much to us. Thank you for your comments. Whether you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, Periscope, YouTube, wherever you're coming from, we appreciate you being here. We made it through some, like I said, it was a rough start today, okay? It was rough, but we're here now, and that's all that matters, and I see you guys coming in. We appreciate it. I'm going to ask my guest as well for him to go on his page now and find me and share it to his page as well, because we want as many people as possible to see this and to be a part of it. We're going to talk to a young man who is going for Stark County Prosecutor, and you guys are going to see him in just a second. He's a young black man, and I think it's important as we talk about criminal justice reform, we talk about things that are going on in the court systems, we talk about school to prison pipelines, what's going on. We need to talk to somebody who has some an inside perspective, right? He's represented many people in their cases and different things that have gone on in their lives and helped people get through some very difficult moments in their life, and we're excited about it. What's up, my man? Mr. Mikey Benison, welcome to the show. My wonderful wife, Corinne Marie Tyndale, thank you for sharing, honey. If you didn't share, I was really going to be upset. Like, babe, like you can't share. I mean, babe, so appreciate it. Thank you so much. We see you guys coming in. Our numbers are looking good. You guys are with it. Even though we were a little bit late, it's all good here on Lucas Live. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, last night we had an amazing guest. Tonight we have an amazing guest. Tomorrow night, we have Mr. Officer Lamar Sharp coming through. And tomorrow's my birthday. We're going to have a great time. You guys get ready. Buckle up. It's going to be a great time tomorrow. And we're going to have a great time tonight. I don't want to delay us any longer. We're already a little delayed. You know what I mean? Because, stuff happens. Stuff went wrong. Dave Woods, you know what I'm talking about? Stuff goes wrong sometime. Amanda, my producer's not around. She out of town. And it's all good. It's all good, okay? But without further delay, I want to bring on my guest. We're going to have a conversation, and you guys are also going to have an opportunity to ask questions and become a part of the discussion. If you guys saw last night's show, we had Amber Ivy, who is running for the seat in the Baltimore Southern District that was vacated by Elijah Cummings after he passed, and someone is currently filling that seat, and we asked her questions, and she was phenomenal, and I have no doubt tonight that it's going to be phenomenal as well. and that my guest tonight is going to answer some questions for us, talk to us. He is a brilliant, brilliant person, a great friend of mine, and somebody I'm excited to introduce. Welcome to the show, Mr. Kyle Stone. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, how are you, sir? Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited, Kyle. This is a special week here on Lucas Live. This is going to be 2 nights in a row. You and Officer Sharp were 2 people who were on my original napkin of guests. Okay, somebody who I said, if I'm gonna do a show, Kyle Stone is somebody I have to have on. You are one of the wisest. You're not only a smart, knowledgeable person. You're one of the wisest people I've ever met. Brilliant with people, and I'm excited about what's going on. So, Kyle, you're running for Stark County Prosecutor. Let's just start there, and we'll work our way through. Tell us what that means, and what do we need to know? What does the seat of the prosecutor mean to the people of Stark County?
One of the things is, and let me just say this before I start. First of all, thank you for having me and the opportunity to come and share my perspective and vision, and I very much appreciate it. We go back all the way back to Camp McKinley.
All the way back.
And so I really appreciate it. But I didn't take it lightly. I prayed about it. I saw a need. And to be honest, I waited to see if there was going to be somebody else that would step up to the plate.
Interesting.
And nobody else did it. And I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, if this is what I'm supposed to do, let me know, confirm it. And the more I communicated with different individuals. They said, "Oh, absolutely, you should." And as I began to pray and seek the Father in guidance, there was confirmation that was given, and I got much support from my bishop and from different people in the community. And so I knew that this had to happen. I knew that there was a change that needed to take place in our county, and I wanted to be able to do that. And the reality is, when we talk about criminal justice reform, it does not start at the White House.
Okay.
It does not start by us electing a president. Where it starts is who we have as our county prosecutor. I remember receiving an inbox on Facebook by someone who said, if we want to keep criminal justice reform at the forefront, we have to challenge our county prosecutors in other jurisdictions. They refer to as district attorneys.
Right.
And so our current prosecutor has been in office since 2003, and we've seen a consistent theme of individuals going to jail for extensive amounts of time, as well as this idea of piling on charges and putting people in positions to where they have to decide, do I risk, even though I feel like I'm not guilty, do I take the risk, or do I plead out to some lesser charges and still take? And so that's what we've seen.
Wow.
That's what I have seen as an attorney, as a defense attorney. And if a majority of the defense attorneys in this county would be surveyed, they will probably tell you the same thing. And so I believe now is the time for us to make a difference. It's just a shifting for a generational change in leadership.
Ooh, absolutely.
And that's really what it boils down to. I'll be 37 in a few weeks.
All right.
And I think that I've put in enough time in not only within the law, but also outside of just life and life experiences to be in this position. And it's necessary in this season, in this time, with our cultural differences right now, our imbalances and racial tensions. It's much needed to have some diversity in that office.
Kyle, that is huge. I mean, I don't think we think about this. I think especially, and I want to talk about this because you're not just, you are a black man running as a prosecutor. And we want to talk about that, and we want to acknowledge that, and we want to realize that that is a big thing and a big statement. But you're also just a man, someone who is about his community, someone who cares, someone who's been serving on the other side of the prosecutor, right? So help us understand real quick. Let's act like, I mean, we watch Law and Order and stuff. You know what I'm saying? We know a little bit of something. I saw Law Abiding Citizen like 32 times. Okay, and Jamie Foxx, I think, was the prosecutor, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Jamie
he
Foxx
was.
was the prosecutor on Law Abiding Citizen. But we don't really necessarily get it. You know, sometimes we're watching these shows. Some shows play the good guys, the bad guys, the good guys. And not that the prosecutor or the defense attorney is a good guy or bad guy, but help us understand our general take. Most people might know the person being defended because they've been accused of a crime. Especially in the black community, we're often worried about, you know, is it a public defender? Can I afford a Kyle Stone? Can I afford some help? So help us understand the difference between the defense attorney and the prosecutor. You're going from one place to the other. Paint that picture for us as if we have no idea what that is.
So defense attorney. So here's Jim Smith. Got charged with aggravated robbery, and so he's going to call my office. Initially, he's going to get arrested if they know who he is or if they've filed charges on him already or whatnot. He's going to get arrested, and then it's going to start in the municipal court because everything starts in the municipal court unless there's a direct indictment, and then that it'll go directly to the common pleas.
Right.
But generally in Stark County, how it's been done is that it goes starts at the municipal court, whether it's felony and misdemeanors mixed together, or just the felony, it always starts in the muni court. So they'll be arraigned in muni court. And then I'll use the city of Canton, for example. Then they'll have a status conference and then a preliminary hearing. And so the status conference is an opportunity for the lawyers on the defense side and the prosecution to have a conversation in regards to maybe possibly if the charges are correct or whatnot, just kind of seeing the status of where they're going. Do we plan on running the preliminary hearing or do we plan on waiving it? And so that's maybe like on a Friday. And so maybe by Tuesday, the preliminary hearing will be held. And so the preliminary hearing can be used just to elicit information, based off of the investigation. What do they have now pointing to my client that's causing them, to believe they're guilty or that there's a possibility that they're guilty? And generally, the preliminary hearing is basically going to the judge and saying, is there enough facts or enough probable cause that a felony was committed? And so it's not the same standard as beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a preponderance of the evidence standard. And so it's a very small, it's not a large hurdle that they have to go over, but they just, somebody might testify, a police officer or another individual will testify, both sides get to ask questions, and then the judge will then decide. Then if the judge decides there's enough probable cause, then they'll go to the grand jury. And now you can waive that preliminary hearing and send it directly to the grand jury. But no matter what, it'll still go to the grand jury. And so whether it goes through muni court, you waive the hearing or you don't, or you do a direct indictment, it's still going to go to the grand jury because the United States Constitution requires it. Interesting.
I don't think I realized that process. So for how many years have you served as an attorney, and what are some of the cases that you've give us names and no, I'm just kidding. Just give us some idea of the range of things that the types of cases you've represented.
So one of the things is unique. I'm in my 5th year of practice, and when I talk to other attorneys and they see the vastness of some of the things that I've done in just 5 years, they're wowed by it. And I think part of it is because of my Christian or ministry involvement within the community, and then being born and raised in the Canton community. I think that helps. And so I have ran trials in the muni court, in the common pleas court, in the probate court, in juvenile court. I even have had federal cases, and I'm getting ready to join. I'm in the process of joining another federal case, but it's actually out in Utah. And so,
okay, that's amazing.
So it's really a blessing.
Yes.
And it's some great other attorneys within the community that has helped me and given me guidance. I will shout out Rick Patini. When I first started, Rick Patini was really, really helpful in giving me guidance. And then now I currently am in the same office with Laura Mills, Mills, Feely, and Lucas. I'm of counsel for them. And so it's great to be around great lawyers, and especially great defense attorneys who have a people mindset
Yes.
rather than a win-lose column mindset.
Yep.
And so I've been on cases with individuals who've been charged with murder.
Wow.
I currently have one right now. And I say that to say this. I'm a firm believer in the United States Constitution, and I believe that everybody deserves a defense.
I love it.
Everybody deserves
Everybody.
that.
Interesting.
Everybody. And I'm not the attorney that's going to be looking for tricks and trades and loopholes and whatnot. I'm not that kind of attorney.
Right.
But I believe that everybody deserves a defense. And I remember when I initially started practicing, I said, well, I'm not going to be the defense attorney. And
what were you going to do? What was your plan?
You know what I was going to do, like family law or corporate general counsel and work in the insurance industry, but I'm not representing guilty people, and the Lord checked me on it.
I remember you telling me this.
Yeah. And he checked me on it. He said, he reminded me, I represent you every day to the Father, and you're guilty every day. And I said, ooh. And so as a Christian and as a man of faith and a man of God, I got checked, and then I had to check my own self. And then I came to the understanding that if the people need an advocate in heaven, surely the people need an advocate here. And so as a Christian man,
yes,
I'm not perfect by no means,
right?
But as a Christian man, I have a God-given responsibility to advocate for what's right. And those who I represent, they know. And if you survey them, they'll tell you, I advocate for what's right.
Yeah, I am a witness. I am a witness. Kyle, you and I have worked together, and you've said to me something that I couldn't imagine an attorney saying. You said, not only will I courtroom, I'm going to fight for you on my knees. I'm going to be praying for you. And I was like, what? Like, that is, I know you, and I know you've been in ministry for all these years, but to say to a client, I'm going to fight for you wherever I have you, your family, whoever, I'm going to fight for you here, but I'm going to be fighting for you in heavenly places where the real battle is, was mind-blowing to me. Tell me about your philosophy, your faith. I don't even know, how do you even bring that into your workplace? I mean, we always think everything is so separate. Even the fact that you're talking about it now is like, so many people be like, wait, we're not talking about that. We're talking about, him getting an office and a position. And how do you bring those two things together? And why is that important to you?
One of the things that we spend a lot of time on, people who know me know that I'm a preacher. Right. And can preach people under benches, because
I fell under two benches messing with you. Okay, yes.
But the reality is this, that if we really want to exemplify Jesus' ministry,
yes,
it's in the marketplace.
Yes.
It's not necessarily in the four walls of the church. And don't get me wrong, like I said, I love church. I'm a fan of it. I love ministry. I love the gathering of the saints. But the reality is we need more Christian-minded leaders.
Yes.
First of all, not just Christian-minded from a rule perspective, but Christian-minded from a love perspective.
Yes.
In positions that can honor God and can represent him accordingly. I have no problems with telling people I'm a Christian. I mean, I just don't have no problem with it. And the reality is, that's the reason why I do what I do. That's the reason why sometimes I let people make payments, and when I know they more than likely aren't going to pay me the rest of, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Like because as a Christian, sometimes certain situations require me to trust in him, and not in them.
Woo! People saying preach in the comments now. You got them going off like you're preaching. People are shouting in the comments. Go, keep going. It's all good.
But that's the reality. And so sometimes we have to make sure that we're striving for better, not just for us. I'm convinced that the Lord did not put me on this earth just for me and me alone.
Wow.
And not for just my family, but he's given me a gift, given me a mouthpiece to be a blessing to multiple people. I always believe in transparency, and I always want to remind myself of being humble and staying humble, because if it had not been for the Lord on my side, I don't know where I would be. However, I do know that He's anointed me to be a voice for the people who can't speak up or nobody's willing to speak up for them. And so, one of the things that I believe how that translate into this office is that when you lack a cultural perspective within your office, you have a hard time understanding people. For an example, I had a trial that I was that I was co-counsel on last year, and they had read some text messages during the trial, and they just could not believe how intense the conversation was between this a man and this woman. And I said, that's pretty normal. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that it makes it okay, but from a cultural standpoint, I understood it because I've seen it before. I've heard family members talk like that before between spouses and boyfriend and girl. I've seen it. And so when you lack that cultural perspective, to at least give some insight, you lose the opportunity to be fair and to adequately effectuate justice as a whole.
Wow.
And so when you don't have a diverse staff, when you don't have individuals who reflect your community, then it makes it difficult for you to really fully effectuate justice. If you look at the American Bar Association's recommendations for the prosecutor's office, they say that you should make every effort to ensure your office reflects that of your community.
Wow.
I'm not for sure when the last time. I know that there's one individual who's diverse in that office currently, but they don't run cases or whatnot. I think that they're responsible for a different department. Yeah. But I'm not for sure when the last time a full-time assistant prosecutor was diverse in that office. So it's necessary at this time. We have to do it. And it's not just about me being black.
Right.
It's just
right.
It's a generational thing as well.
Yes.
And then it's just a new vision, a new perspective.
Whew.
Stark County deserves a more active prosecutor, one that you'll see in the community.
Help us understand. What does it look like? I mean, we don't even know. I'm telling you from my perspective. Of course, when something happens to one of our loved ones, we're first hoping they even find the person, which so often you never even find the person. And then we're hoping that they're prosecuted, but we're not really thinking about it. I think especially for me coming from the inner city, people are being prosecuted, and I'm fearful that they're being persecuted as well. So help us understand how you as a prosecutor are going to be different and be about the community. What does that even look like? Because I don't think we understand.
So one of I have 3 pillars to my campaign, and that's unity, transparency, and justice. Unity is this. If there are a lot of community partners in our community that we should be working with, whether it's reentry programs, whether it's alternative programs. I had a young man last year, 2 years ago, actually I think it was 2 years ago, had a drug charge, less than 5 grams. First time ever. And they would not work with me for him. First charge ever. And he got charged with a felony, and they would not work with me. I'm not going to, specify any names of the assistant prosecutor who it was, but they were not willing to work with me in trying to seek after an alternative to this young man. This is a young man, I think at the time he was 22 or 23. So now we have an individual who could have had the opportunity to do some things differently, or an alternative to getting a felony for the first time. And it was a small amount of drugs. By no means am I saying that it's okay for him to do drugs or to be in possession of drugs. By no means. And he knows, he can tell you that I addressed that with him. However, there should be some level of flexibility that comes when we have a young individual with no record, first time charge, and they're not willing to work with this kid. And so those are the things that when we look at it and when we talk about it, we got to have alternatives and be willing to work with those organizations. Once again, the ABA says that the prosecutor should be actively If the organizations haven't been created, the prosecutor should actively be looking to create those and partner with other organizations to do it. We don't see our prosecutor in the community doing that. And what I plan to do is to unify our community by doing those, gathering those community partners so that we can look for alternatives to ensure that people make mistakes.
Right.
Now, if you've shot and killed somebody, you got to go to jail.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Let's just make
This
it
is
clear.
what it is.
You got to go to jail.
Right.
There's 3 ways I can defend you. 1, because you didn't do it. 2, because it was self-defense. Or 3, you're looking for the best deal possible.
Okay.
Those are the 3 ways I'll defend somebody who's been charged with murder. And so, but the reality is that if you've done the crime, sometimes you got to do the time.
Right.
And that's just the reality. But at the very same time, there should be some flexibility that exists that allows for us to do some alternative programming, some requirements. And granted, he qualified for TCAP, which says that it's basically an alternative to imprisonment.
Okay.
It's an F5 or F4. But nevertheless, though that felony is still going to follow him for the next 3 years now or 4 years now, depending on when he's paid or when he gets off of probation, it's still going to follow him for his first mistake as an adult on that level. So
it's not right.
It's really a tough position. But when we have alternative programs, it puts us in a position to have flexibility and then say, hey, contingent upon you completing X, Y, and Z, we won't charge you with this, or we will allow you to go into this diversion program. We do have diversion programs with the court. They do have those programs. Okay. And our judges have been willing to do that. It's sometimes, though, they need the support of the prosecutor's office to support it. So
as a prosecutor, does that mean you said assistant prosecutors and others are involved? I don't think we got a clear picture of the office of the prosecutor. Can you help us understand who's in the room? What does this look like? How many people are on this team? Do you build your own team? Do you inherit people? What does it look like if you win?
So if I win, let me say this. There are some great people that currently work in that office. I want to make that clear. There's some excellent people who that I've worked with and have an excellent relationship with because they've been diligent about doing what's right and what's fair and what's reasonable. Yes. And so now there is going to be, I'm sure, there's going to be people who are going to leave because they may not want to work for me if I win. Or when I say
when you win, amen.
When I win.
Yes, sir.
And so there's going to be some changes that was going to take place because people may not want to work under me. Right. And then I'm going to more than likely make some changes based off of some experiences that I've had with individuals or just at least have discussions like, can you adjust to the new vision of the team? I believe altogether the staff is about 50 altogether. You have the elected prosecutor, and then you have assistant prosecutors, and you have a civil department as well as the criminal, and then they have it broken down also in the juvenile as well, and then the victims advocacy department. And so they have different chiefs and directors of those divisions and then other assistant prosecutors work up under them. And so that's how the structure currently is. And then there will be some changes that will have to take place because you have to make sure that the individuals that are in leadership and in position are in line with the vision that I have moving office forward. Of course.
That's excellent. Exciting when you win. So, Kyle, you can't win by yourself. And I want to say this now and throughout. What can I do? What can we do? What can the people of Stark County? And Stark County is not just Canton, right? It's Alliance, Massillon, North Canton. What do we need to do to ensure that a Kyle Stone sits in that seat?
We got to get the word out. I mean, we have to, at the end of the day, y'all, I need money. You know what I mean? Like, you need money to campaign. You need money to buy signs. You need money for direct mail campaigns. You know, those advertisements and campaign documents or sheets that come in the mail that we get tired of around election season. those documents actually matter.
Okay.
People read them. Not everybody reads them,
Yeah.
but people read them. And so you have to have money in order to do those things. And I'm this close to getting my website finished so that people can go on the website and be able to make donations, or they can just send it to the our campaign office. If they want to write a check or anything like that, they can do that.
Is there a Cash App, a PayPal, a Venmo? Is there any other way? I mean, what do we do right now? It's cash or check, and soon it'll be able to be electronic, or is there anything we can do now?
Yeah, very soon it'll be electronic. What I was trying to do is get my website live before tonight.
We was about to light it up. Just know. We was about to light it up. Okay. We can do this again. Okay. We can do a marathon. We can do songs, ministry. We can do a fundraiser on Lucas Live. I promise. You let me know. We're going to make it happen. My producer's on. I hope she ain't mad in the comments. I'm making up new stuff, but we're going to make it happen for you. All right. So, my friend, you've done so much in my life. But okay, so you need money. I mean, that's a part of it, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And if we can get, one of the things is money, and then yard signs, and we need locations where we can submit yard signs.
Okay.
I can give you an email address. I can just text it to you, an email address where people, if they want yard signs to be placed in their yards.
What is that? Do you have that email address now?
Yeah, hold on one second.
Okay, I can. I'm gonna type it in. That's all right. I'm gonna type it in, and we got to do something, y'all. If you guys are watching right now, if you believe in what he's talking about, and we have more to talk about here on the show. If you guys didn't know, we started about 15 minutes late, so you guys are going to get some extra time. So if you have something to do right at 8, cancel it. What are you doing? Cancel it anyway. I mean, whatever. But we want to talk about this. And you guys, ladies and gentlemen, there's change we want to see. We're protesting. We're doing all this stuff. We're protesting injustice. What better place to have somebody than the person at the prosecutor's office, regardless of the police did some trumped up charges, brought him in on some nonsense. The prosecutor's the one that got to prosecute the case. So imagine having somebody who was about the community, who knew the people of the community, who cared about these young men and women who it's their first time offense and they made some mistakes. They came through difficult circumstances and situations, who wants to make sure there's diversion programs and other ways of helping people. Imagine having a person who was really for the people sitting in that seat at that table, leading that conversation. That's what we want to see. And if we want to see it, we got to invest in making it happen, because the people who want to see something else are going to put their dollars, their time, their energy, their yard signs towards somebody else. And we'll be sitting here mad again. And the only signs we'll have are the signs we're out there protesting with. Let's put some signs in our yards to get this man voted into office, voted in as the prosecutor of Stark County. So you get the website.
Yeah, so the email is KL Stone 4 FOR prosecutor @gmail.com.
All right. I'm throw that on the screen. Hope I spelled prosecutor right. PROSECUTOR. Prosecutor?
Correct.
Okay, look at me, y'all. Look at that. I know how to spell, y'all, ladies and gentlemen. I got a good education.
KL Stone for prosecutor @gmail.com.
So if we go to that, if we email there, we can get yard signs. Is that what we need to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that'll give me a list of addresses.
Okay.
They have to submit their address.
Yep.
And so then when yard signs are ready, they'll just pop up. They might come home one day, and the yard sign will be in their yard.
Ladies and gentlemen, take a screenshot. If you're watching this on your phone, hit the buttons, boom, screenshot. If you're watching this on your computer, screenshot, write it down, old school. Come back and watch the replay later if you need to. We got to have some yard signs. I'm telling y'all, I promise you, Kyle, you can have my whole yard, what you need, whatever. I do whatever I can. Also businesses, right? Could businesses put them outside of their businesses?
Yes.
Okay. We have to get involved. And not just your yard. You know somebody that owns that business over there that everybody drives by. You know the person that lives on the corner over here, over there, near downtown, by the fairgrounds, near the schools, whatever it is. Talk to those people. We have to get this thing going. Election day is in November, right?
Yes, November 3rd.
November 3rd. We don't have a lot of time, ladies and gentlemen. We have to get serious. We have to get on this. And here's another thing that I've seen, Kyle. I know what it's like to not know everybody on the ballot, not know all the issues. But I've seen somebody's name so much. I've seen the signs so much. When I go in there, I'm looking at it thinking, the only name I know is this person. Now, of course, we don't have to vote for every single thing, but that plays a role, correct? The more they see your
Yes.
name, the more they see you out there, the more likely you are to win, correct?
Right. Right. Well, and then that's where the direct mail comes in at making sure. And then, getting out in the community, we have masks that have Vote Stone on them
All
for
right.
people to wear in the community.
Love it.
I haven't given them away yet. It was 28 people who they were the first ones to say that they wanted one on a post that I made. I have their names. I have their list. If y'all watching, I have y'all's masks set aside for y'all. I just got to figure out how I'm gonna get them to you.
Yes.
So
Work it out.
Okay.
Do you need volunteers? Is there
Yes.
something else we could do?
Absolutely.
If we have time, can I go put some yard signs out? What can we do also to help you?
So yard signs usually don't go out until about August, September-ish.
Okay.
And so if you're interested not only having a yard sign, but you're interested in being a volunteer, you can send an email as well.
Awesome.
And what I'll do is I have an info sheet that provides the opportunity to show what it is that you want to do, how you want to participate in the campaign, and they can fill that out and send it back to me or whatnot. But if they email me, we'll make sure we can utilize them moving forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may not have ever been a part of a political process, but now, because of everything going on in our country, everything going on in our communities, you may be more incensed than ever that now is your time to step up. You may be a first-time voter for various reasons, either age or for whatever reason, or this may be the time where you're like, I just want to do more than vote. I don't want to just vote and hope that other people vote with me. I want to rally the votes. You remember when we were in high school, you wanted somebody to win homecoming, king, queen, something. You'd be campaigning for them. You'd be like, vote for so-and-so. That's who we going to have win over here, right? So if we want to see it happen, we have to use our voices. We have to use our platforms. We have to use our social media. Ladies and gentlemen, when Kyle shares something, we're going to have to share it. We're going to have to put it out there. And we're going to have to be conscious of your image and your brand. So if I want to help represent your image and your brand, right, Kyle, and I'm big on brands and images, who are you? What is your brand? I don't want to say vote for Kyle or I'm going off on your neighbor and I don't want to be out here fighting. That's not who you are. How could I best represent the Stone brand in this election season?
Well, one of the things is love has been my theme now. The Lord has been working with me with this love perspective. And sometimes love requires tough love, compassionate love, but long as it's in love. And so sometimes our family members have committed crimes and they have to go to jail. We love them, but that's what has to happen. And that's the reality. But if you're going to represent Kyle Stone as, in the campaign for prosecutor, it's fairness and justice. At the end of the day, justice has to be the priority. It has to be what our focus is. Somebody came up to me and asked me, well, what's going to be your, what do you think about your win and lose, your conviction rate? That's what it was, your conviction rate. I said, well, I'm not concerned about a conviction rate. I'm concerned about making sure justice is completed. And his response was, wow, that was the answer that I wanted to hear. I wasn't expecting to hear that, but that's the answer I wanted to hear, because that's what matters. To me, it doesn't matter about the conviction rate if a person isn't guilty. If they're guilty, then we want to make sure that we convict them and the evidence supports it. But if they're not, then we don't push charges on individuals based off of just throwing it up against the wall and see what sticks. That's not what we would do under my leadership. We would only charge what we can prove. And if we charge you, you best believe we can prove it.
Love it.
Simple as that.
Woo!
It's just as simple as that. We'll charge you what we can prove. And if you get those charges,
you deserve them.
Be sure that we're going to be able to prove it.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. That is different. And ladies and gentlemen, I joked about the movie Law Abiding Citizen earlier, which I think is a phenomenal movie, by the way, with Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler, I believe. But Jamie Foxx was the prosecutor, and the big problem in the movie was the problem that kicked off all the other problems was Jamie Foxx was playing a person who was more concerned about his conviction rate. He just wanted things to work, or take pleas, or do deals, do whatever he had to do to make sure people went to jail or whatever happened. But it wasn't really about justice. It wasn't really about what was right. It wasn't really about fairness. For you to not be a prosecutor who's going to, after you win this first one, and you run again, you're not going to be running on, well, I convicted everybody. I just convicted everybody. I got every criminal off the street, every drug addict off the street. The streets are empty. There's nobody left. It's like everybody don't need to be thrown into prison. Prison is not a place that everybody is going to come out rehabilitated. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, about the reality that we believe that we're going to throw someone in prison and they're all going to be rehabilitated? You said it earlier. Everybody does not need to go to prison for the things that they've done. How do you decipher what's what and how to charge those people?
It really is. It should be a case by case basis. But one of the things that I say is it's okay to be tough on crime.
Yeah,
it's okay to be tough on crime. I support that. I believe in that. But I believe it's more important to be tough on crime prevention.
Wow.
Than being tough on crime.
Wow.
Because crime prevention makes sure that we don't even have a victim.
Yes.
But we for example, when Jackson Township, and I know the prosecutor's office later joined in with their what they did, but that sting with all of those pedophiles.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are proactive measures that should be taken and supported around the county. And I believe that the prosecutor's office should be spearheading and leading or really have a very vocal position in making sure that takes place. Because what they did was they saved somebody's daughter or son from being victimized before it even took place, because they were proactive rather than reactive. If we're focused on a reactive justice, then we already have a victim, and then now we have two families that have been destroyed, possibly. But if we can be proactive, we can at least eliminate the possibility of a victim and just deal with the person who has sickness or issues or whatnot, and we can do so. If we're proactive, if we're providing, if we're understanding the dynamics within our community and we're proactive in that, I believe that puts us in a position to where we have a better opportunity to stop it from taking place. How many times when we were in high school did the prosecutor's office come to McKinley High School to have a conversation with people?
Is that even a thing? Like, I never knew they could. What? I literally, you just said that. I'm like, I wouldn't have even expected it or thought about it. I don't know who the prosecutors are. Like, that's not a thing to me.
Right.
Wow.
And so it is important for things like that so that young people understand this isn't a game.
Right.
There's consequences to your action.
Yes.
And here's how you can avoid it. Here's some tips and ways to get away from the things. Everybody didn't have what I had growing up. Yes, I am a product of a single parent home. My mother raised me and my sisters and I on her own. We grew up. We lived in the black and whites. We lived in Chips. We lived on Willett down the street from Lathrop because we were recipients of a Habitat home. And so I understand the struggle. I understand what it means to have a mind focused to achieve the goals that you have planned. But I also had it wasn't like we didn't have any other choice but to go to college. You know what I mean? Like that was what was expected. Right. And then I had pastors like Pastor George Dunwoody. Yes. I had uncles and aunts like Pastor Sherman Martin and Odette Martin. I had uncles like Eric Snow and his wife at the time, Deshawn Snow, who poured into me and encouraged me and allowed me to see things and experience things beyond just Stark County or just beyond what we were used to. Yes. And so not everybody has that opportunity. And so I think it's important for us to be mindful of that and to totally understand the dynamics within our community so that when we understand, we know where to go to try to stop some of these things that are taking place, some of the shootings that are taking place, some of the unsolved murders that's going on. Trust is, and this is a side note, trust is huge when it comes to the African-American community. Absolutely. If they can't trust you, they're not going to come and tell you. I believe right now is 8 unsolved murders. I believe it's 8 right now, 7 or 8. There's somebody who knows information on every single one of those. but because of their lack of trust with the prosecutor's office as well as with the police department at some levels, then that they're not willing to take the risk of exposing themselves or being noted as a snitch.
Right.
But the reality is there's some hurting families that want resolution,
Absolutely.
that want peace.
Absolutely.
And they deserve to get that.
Yes.
And so I believe as an individual who people know who I am, that's one thing that I've been, I'm a straight shooter. I've been a straight shooter. I just keep it real as much as possible. For the things I don't tell you, it ain't none of your business. And so that's just the reality. But I believe that when I'm elected into that office of the prosecutor, people are going to feel more comfortable coming to my office and sharing what they know. I believe that without a shadow of doubt, because they know if I tell you something, that's what's going to happen. Like those people who know me know that if Kyle says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. Now, it might take some time.
But you're going to get it done.
Yes. Schedule is.
Sure.
But if I tell you I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I'm a man of my word. That's one thing that I take pride in, is being an honorable individual. One, if I say I'm going to do it, you can rely. That you can take to the bank.
Yep. Love it. I think that's huge. We have a comment here. Mrs. Stokes, Lavina Stokes. She said in some of the murders, they just get a slap on the hand and then they let them out. So what do you think about that? I mean, there's some balance between not overcharging people who have done small crimes, first-time offenders, things like this. And then there's something where it's like, this person has been a problem. This person has done a lot of stuff. This person has been through your courtroom. What can you tell us about what you're going to do to try to be harder on those that are repeat offenders and are continuing to cause havoc in our community?
One of the things that's important is those who know information, it's important for you to speak up. Because sometimes if an individual, let's say an individual who we know is a repeat offender and has caused havoc in the community for many years, they might get charged with, let's say, 8 crimes. In those situations, sometimes they deserve to be charged with those 8 crimes.
Right.
However, for 4 or 5 of them, they need people to come and testify. If people don't come and testify and show up and share because of this, sometimes, or I shouldn't say sometimes, a lot of times, idiotic perspective of I'm not snitching, we lose the opportunity to put those in jail who deserve to be in jail.
Right.
And it's necessary. Sometimes we have to say, tell the truth if we know or have information. Now, if you, to me, in my mind, what snitching is if you was part of the conspiracy and you were part of it, and then you tell on them to save yourself, then to me, that's the definition of snitching.
Gotcha.
But if you're a victim, or you've witnessed somebody who you know be a victim to some crimes and to some things that happened to them, no, you're just telling the truth. You're just speaking up for them. And so that's what we need more people to do. We need more people to stand up. And absolutely, when you can convict people, like I said, it's certain people who deserve to go to jail. And they deserve to go to jail for many years. And because they've proven, their track record has shown that that's where they're supposed to be. And so it's really a balancing act. And the idea, and I had to share this with somebody, the idea that anybody would think just because, an African-American man is running for office, running for the prosecutor's office, and I win, does not mean that black folks are going to get a free pass. That's not what that means.
Wait. Okay. It doesn't. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, that's important. That's important because otherwise, it's the same thing that we're so mad about on the other side. If we say white people let white people get away with everything, so what do you say to that? Because there are some people who are going to be like, "Well, they've been doing it forever. Finally, we get somebody in office. It's time to let us. It's time for the OJs to go through do the thing. You the man, slide us through, Kyle. You know me. You know my people. What's up?"
No.
Okay. I appreciate your honesty, brother.
It's not happening. What if once again you're going to get charged with what we can prove? If we can prove the charges, you're going to get charged with it. That's what this criminal justice system is. And when we talk about criminal justice reform, we're trying to remove the implicit bias that exists in the system. We're trying to remove some racial stereotypes in the system. We're trying to remove a lopsided justice system. And so by putting me in office, I'm going to be the watchdog to make sure that doesn't take place, that lopsidedness is no longer in existence. My second pillar of my campaign is transparency. One of the things that I'm going to do starting the January 4th when I get sworn in,
all right, let's go. Yes, sir.
When I get sworn in, is every case that comes through the office will be documented. It will be the sex of the individual, the race of the individual, whether they had a public defender or whether they had a private attorney, what the charges were, what were they convicted of, and we're going to roll up that every year to make sure that office is accountable. And every year it's going to be available on the website and make sure that people know this is what we're doing. And if we still see a lopsided perspective, then that challenges us that we have to do better the next year and keeps us accountable. I just believe that criminal justice reform does not just, it's not just the prosecutor's office, it's the community as a whole.
Wow.
And we all have a hand in making sure that we do what's necessary to effectuate justice in a way that it treats everybody fairly.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to put this email address back up here. It's important for us to realize that we have an opportunity to impact this. If you're just tuning in or you're watching this by replay and somehow you missed some part of it, we need to support Kyle Stone for Stark County Prosecutor. Number one, you have to be a registered voter. You strolling up to the ballot box and you never registered to vote, they're going to send you home. They're going to be like, thank you for coming. Hope you can vote next election. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. We have to register to vote, okay? Then we have to make sure we're planning to exercise our right to vote. I don't care. I don't know what's going to be happening. Coronavirus, all this stuff. Some places are shutting down polling stations. I hope that our county doesn't do anything shady. But if they do, we have people who stood, who fought, bled, and died so that we had a right to vote. Will you stand in line for more than 10 minutes? Would you stand in line if you had to vote for this man to make sure that there is fair justice in our community? Would you do it, or will we not stand in line, but then later we're going to be standing up when we're getting prosecuted for something that we shouldn't have been prosecuted for? Or we're going to be standing up in the courtroom saying, this is not fair, that's my cousin, that's my son, that's my daughter, that's my brother, this is wrong. When are we going to stand up? And I say we stand up now. Kyle is about prevention. He wants to work on prevention and being a part of the community. We've heard community policing is a thing. And tomorrow night at 7 p.m., tune in. We're going to have Officer Lamar Sharp, who I believe is the model for community policing. He's talking about being a community prosecutor. I have never heard of such a thing. But what Kyle needs more than anything right now, we need to go to this email address, email, and let them know our address, our name, that we want to sign. As soon as it's sign season, we want one in our yard. If you want to volunteer to be a sign taker giver or somebody who gives masks or does something to help him, let him know that as well. And any campaign needs money. Right now, it's not set up to take money electronically, but as soon as it is, I promise we'll be posting it all over this show, and we'll be talking about it. We'll be blasting on social media, and we need to share it, and we need to donate to it, and we need to give to it, and we're not putting our money different. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our way of impacting change, and we may not be able to control everything that goes on at the White House, from Trump to Kanye to I don't know who else might be running for president in a minute, but we can impact that. But most importantly, we have to impact our local communities. Kyle, talk to us a little bit about the importance of registering to vote.
So registering to vote is important for two reasons. Why you can vote, and secondly, being registered puts you on the list for jury duty. Here's another thing.
Well, we don't want jury, but let me tell you something. I think we've always looked at it like, oh, I don't want jury duty. That's not, I got to go to work and I got my kids. And when I'm off, I want to be off. Help us understand.
So this is why it's important. So when we talk about making sure that justice is completed and needing some cultural perspective, if I'm a black man or a black woman, I'm not going to get the certain level of cultural understanding if I have an all-white jury. The purposes of the jury is to have a jury of your peers to reflect the community in which you live in. If we're trying to dodge and avoid jury duty, we miss the opportunity to participate. Like I've gotten summons. I'm summons right now. I have to start calling in next week for jury duty. Excuse me. But what's going to more likely happen is they're not going to let me sit. I think I'm numbered like 300 and somewhere 250 or something like that. But once they realize I'm a criminal defense attorney, most attorneys aren't going to allow me to stay on the jury. And definitely the prosecutor isn't going to let me stay on the jury. I'll, get knocked off. But nevertheless, I believe in it. And that's why we should be registered to vote, not only so that we can vote and participate in further our civic duty, but we also need to register to vote so that we can participate in grand juries as well as juries as well.
So important that we register to vote, ladies and gentlemen. Call Stark County Board of Elections. There's ways to look it up online. If you've moved, this happened to me. I moved. I'm still in the county, but I moved. I had to re-register. I had to let them know where my new address was. I needed to find out where my new polling station was. You may have moved and you didn't think about it. Maybe you didn't vote since the last presidential election 4 years ago, and unfortunately, I hope that we're voting more in all the elections. But if you haven't, or if you haven't voted in a while, please, please, please go register to vote. Don't be afraid. Don't wait. You can't register to vote in November. Okay, you got to there's a deadline, and once you miss that deadline, you're out of luck. So we can't have that happening because you're going to be upset that your voice wasn't heard and nothing changed, and now is the time. We have to register to vote, and we have to help our family, friends, and loved ones. You may have an elderly loved one who needs some help, and they've moved, or they may be in a nursing home, or something's different. You need to look into it. You need to help them out. We need to be heard. We have to register to vote. Thank you, guys. I see you guys in the comments. So many great comments. All this love and support, Kyle. You can't even imagine. You'll have to watch the replay. They're shouting you out. They're loving you. They're praising God for what you're going to do. So, Kyle, we just have a few more minutes. If one more time, if you could help us understand, what is it that you plan to do once you're voted in as Stark County Prosecutor? Why should we vote for you? What should we tell other people about you? What can we expect from a Kyle Stone prosecution team?
So one of the things is you can rely on is that you'll see me in the community. One of the things that in order for me to effectively prosecute and to understand my community, I have to be in the community. I have to participate in organizations. I have to know what's going on. I have to have meetings with our superintendents to make sure things aren't happening in our school systems. I should be having meetings with council members and leaders within different areas. I should be working with police chiefs and police departments. You should see me, and you should also see me in the courtroom. Every once in a while, you should see me prosecuting a case because that's what people have voted for me to do, is to be the prosecutor. So periodically, you should see me in the courtroom, and you should also see me in boardrooms, because everything about our community has some lines or some connection to our criminal justice system. If we talk about economic development, you can't get companies to come here and bring their company here if our crime levels are too high. And so it's connected. When we talk about our school systems, when we are trying to build them up, if there's drugs and issues going on in the school system, we're connected with that, because anything that happens with juveniles it happens in our office. Even if it's a misdemeanor or a felony, it happens in the prosecutor's office. I said our office like I'm already there. It happens in the prosecutor's office. And so there has to be some involvement, and you'll see me there. You'll see me in the streets. You'll see the transparency in our process. It may not happen while the process is happening, because we have to protect the integrity of investigations. You have to protect the integrity of the process. And so you want to make sure all of that takes place. However, you at the same time, you want to make sure that people are aware of what's going on. I apologize that my phone is ringing in the background, but nevertheless. And so the thing about it is we want to make sure that we protect the process and make sure people understand it. And at the end of the day, justice is served. There are some, one of the things I wanted to say too is there's some excellent police officers on
Okay.
the force. You're going to talk to one tomorrow.
Yes.
And his Lieutenant Gabbard now, no, Captain Gabbard now was lieutenant at the time, and at the time he was responsible for the community policing perspective, and so with that in mind, he was a great leader. And when I worked in the city of Canton as the fair housing and the compliance manager, I was able to work with him. And just a great person. He's the individual who knelt in prayer with the protesters
Okay.
at Walmart.
Yeah.
That's Captain Gabbard. Great person. And so those are examples. And I'm not saying there's
Yes.
not other examples,
Sure.
but those are individuals who I know.
Yep.
And I went to that community forum at Faith Family Church on last Thursday, and I got to hear remarks from a few individuals. And one of the individuals that I appreciated his remarks was Sheriff Meyer. I appreciated his remarks with regard to the approach to changing some things around to ensure that his team, his deputies, are trained accordingly, that they have the mind. And that's what the prosecutor's office can help with and work with them, is to push that perspective of, we're trying to work together. We're trying to build up our community and not tear it down, not to divide, but to unite. And that's where we are right now. And I believe that when we can work with individuals across agency lines and across perspective lines and political lines, it puts us in a great position. We see, and I wasn't going to necessarily address it, but I am going to address it.
Yes.
For individuals who don't know, I am on the Republican ticket as a candidate for prosecutor.
Right.
One of the things that we see, we know that it seems like the black community is at odds with the Republican Party,
just because.
Just because.
Yeah.
And the reality is, we see that they're at odds with the president, but then they're supporters of Governor DeWine.
Yes. Who is a Republican.
Who's a Republican.
Correct.
And so it's really, we got to
it's the person, it's the policies. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
We have to focus on people and not
parties. I love it.
Because this new generation that's coming up, they don't care.
Right.
This new generation, they're on the streets. All they want is people to be fair, to be right, and to effectuate justice. That's what they want. Yes. And that's what I'm saying. Those who know me know no matter what, they're going to get the same Kyle. I'm still going to do right. I still got to sleep at night. So that means I can't mishandle God's people, whether they are Christians, whether they're of the same faith or not. I cannot mishandle his people. And I can't mistreat them. So no matter what, you're going to get the same Kyle, no matter what side of the aisle I'm on.
Yes.
And so I really want people to understand that, to know that, and to be able to be confident that a vote for Kyle is a vote for fairness, a vote for justice, unity, and transparency.
Yes.
That's what you're voting for. You're voting for who you know Kyle Stone to be, and what I have been for the past 36 years in this community, in ministry.
Yes.
I've represented a lot of people in 5 years. I've represented
I can't believe it's only been 5 years. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's been a lot of people from civil court to criminal court, federal court. I mean, it's just, I just want the people to know that there's an advocate. When people, it's an honor to be elected.
Yes.
Like there's no, you don't have a right to a position just because you've had it. It's an honor and a privilege for the people to decide, your scorecard is saying that you didn't score high enough, so we're not going to vote you. We're not going to reelect you. We're going to decide to vote for someone else because we believe that this is the better person for this time, for this season. And so I consider it to be an honor that anybody would be willing to vote for me and trust me enough to be the Stark County prosecuting attorney. I feel it would be an honor and a privilege for the people of Stark County to do that. And I believe that no candidate in this season, in this time, has the best ability to unite a community better than I can.
Kyle Stone, my man, thank you so much. It was an honor for me to have you on my platform, to have you on my show. I said it at the beginning, you were on the napkin list, the short list of people who I said, if I'm going to do a show, when I started, I didn't know where I was going, what I was doing. But I was like, maybe I could have some guests. And I was like, who would I have? And you were one of the first people I thought of. You've meant so much in my life and the life of my family. You're such a genuine person. We've talked about everything from ministry to family to court to everything. And you've been in my home. You've been a friend. You've been everything. And I just can't thank you enough for everything you've done. I appreciate you. I know our community appreciates you. The people in the comments appreciate you. And we look forward to voting you in as the Stark County Prosecutor. Thank you so much, Kyle.
Thank you. So real quick, Lucas.
Yes.
I just have to say this. So just so you guys know, I'm a very realist guy, and I enjoy laughing. So when Lucas first contacted me to do this
months ago, when I first started, yes,
we were in quarantine,
deep in quarantine,
and I didn't get a haircut, and so I told him, I said, we can't do this.
True story.
Until I get my haircut. Because I'm going a little thin at the top, and it would have been very, very noticeable about it, and a whole lot of people would have seen it.
Right.
And I said, I just got to wait until I get a haircut so I can get at least a closer, fresh lineup and whatnot. But I'm grateful and thankful for you. Thank you for allowing using your platform. We both share in ministry. We've shared in other areas, and one of the things that we share in is in the loss of a parent.
Yes, I was just thinking about that. Yes, sir.
And so, what a blessing to see how we respond in strength and in power. And to you, sir, this is just the beginning. I'm just believing God for you, for your future. There's a saying that I've been saying for a long time, and I'll say this real quick because I love sharing this testimony.
Yes.
But a few years ago, I know we're going over, y'all, but
it's all right. Hey, we are. Hey.
In 2011, when I was diagnosed with MS, I remember Pastor George. I was crying. I was upset because I just knew that it was going to be, I was going to be in a bad spot. I just thought that because I didn't know much about it. And he told me, I remember these words. He said, when the spirit man kick in, you'll know the difference.
Wow.
And so when I was, looked myself in the mirror like 3 days later, and I said, you shall live and not die. And one of my sayings that I started saying was, I see myself in the future. I heard Bishop Larry Trotter say it.
Yes.
But I said, I see myself in the future, and things look a whole lot better than what's been.
Yes.
And so I want to say that to you, my brother. I see you in your future.
Woo.
And things look a whole lot better than what's been. And so everybody know I can't go long talking and not at least move and just at least let the Spirit do what the Spirit got to do, just at least a little bit.
Yes, let it move.
But I encourage you, sir, to continue doing what you're doing, and I see great things in your future, and I pray that God opens those doors and continuously allows His blessings to flow upon you.
Kyle, thank you so much. You don't know how much it means. You and I talk behind the scenes, and losing a parent is hard, right? Like losing a parent is like, man, it's hard, right?
It's absolutely.
It's life-changing, and I smile and I have a lot of energy on the show, and everybody's like, wow, but they don't know. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard at random moments. Tomorrow's my birthday. Tomorrow's my birthday, and for the first time in my life, my mom won't be there for my birthday. And it's hard. But I thank you so much for being on my show. I thank you all who watched the show and supported. I hope you guys join us tomorrow with Officer Lamar Sharp, and we're going to celebrate my birthday. Even though my mom's not with us here, I know my mom is with us, and I'm excited to celebrate tomorrow. A week from my birthday will be my mom's birthday. So next week we'll be celebrating again, and I know that'll be a tough day. But God will give us the strength we need to get through. To anybody else out there who's lost a loved one, we're going to all celebrate together and know that God is going to bring us through. Kyle, you've been amazing. Thank you again, Lucas Live audience. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you guys. Everybody have a good night. We'll see you guys again tomorrow night at 7. Have a